Shalom from Israel to all of the Daystar viewers around the world. I'm Moshe Bar Tzvi, the producer and founder of Israel Now News. We at Israel Now News are dedicated to bringing you the full story and the truth about Israel from Israel. It's written in the Holy Bible when David said in Psalm 25:5, "Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day long." And God says in Zechariah 8:16, "These are the things that you shall do. Speak out the truth to one another. Judge with truth and judgment to peace in your gates. And always search for the truth, and the truth shall set you free." John 8:31. I hope you enjoyed the program. God bless you from Jerusalem. Shalom, shalom.
Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our top story, Syria is prepared to fire advanced missiles at Israel. The Sunday Times has reported that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has ordered Syrian forces to put their most advanced surface-to-surface missiles on standby aimed at Tel Aviv. Damascus is angry with Jerusalem over a recent strike on Syria's chemical weapons supply and on a weapons convoy en route to Hezbollah terrorists. Syria has heightened tensions in the region by pointing their Tishreen missiles at Israel.
Despite the personal appeal from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to Russian President Vladimir Putin, Moscow has decided to supply Syria's regime with game-changing weapons. Netanyahu made a lightning trip to Russia to explain the threat that anti-ship cruise missiles pose to Israel's Navy and its natural gas fields off the coast of Haifa. Despite what seemed to be a positive visit, the deal to provide the Assad regime with stockpiles of highly sophisticated S-300 missiles was advanced. Putin has also further escalated the volatile regional situation by sending 12 warships to patrol the waters off Russia's naval base on the Syrian coast. The Kremlin released a statement saying that the Russian Defense Ministry started setting up a special task force of the naval vessels in the Mediterranean to protect Russia's interests in the region.
Israel was forced to return fire into Syria last week after 3 nights of consecutive gunfire on IDF troops in the Golan. Israel has exercised extreme restraint with Syria, recognizing that stray mortar shells and gunfire were an unintentional spillover from the Syrian civil war. However, the recent attacks on Israel were aimed specifically at an IDF unit and were intentional acts of aggression. The Syrian post from which the gunfire originated was targeted and destroyed with the assistance of numerous IDF units and support aircraft, which allowed the IDF to avoid civilian casualties.
After several devastating tornadoes ripped through Oklahoma, killing dozens and injuring an estimated 200 others last week, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sent condolences to U.S. President Barack Obama. Netanyahu wrote that on behalf of the government and the people of Israel, he offered his heartfelt condolences to the President and the people of the United States over the horrific toll that the devastating tornadoes exacted in human life, and that the nation's thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families at this difficult time. We here at Israel Now News would also like to convey our deepest sympathies to the victims of this tragedy, and we pray for the swift and complete recovery of those injured.
Although the Palestinian Authority, under the leadership of Mahmoud Abbas, has repeatedly promised freedom of the press, the terrorist leadership continues to detain and interrogate members of the media. Abu Ara, a Palestinian journalist, was arrested earlier this year for offending the PA boss, Mahmoud Abbas. He claimed that he was kept in solitary confinement and prevented from sleeping. Another Palestinian journalist claimed to have been detained by the PA for 11 days and said his laptop computer was destroyed and that he was badly abused.
Israel Aircraft Industries is boasting an increase in exports, particularly of unmanned aerial vehicles. The company said that its sales of drones tops $400 million annually. IAI's international sales have now expanded to 49 nations worldwide. Israel is a leader in drone technology, and 80% of the UAVs it produces are exported. Israeli military experts believe that the aircraft are the wave of the future and that drones will replace the Israeli Air Force within the next 50 years.
Iranian state radio claims that Tehran has executed 2 men for spying for the Mossad and the CIA. The report said the 2 were hanged, but makes no mention of their arrest or trial.
Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad may be facing 6 months in prison or 74 lashes. The Al Arabiya network is reporting that the leader is being charged with violating election rules by endorsing his former chief of staff to be his successor. Unable to run for a 3rd term, Ahmadinejad is being accused of accompanying Esfandiar Rahimashi to the Iranian Interior Ministry to register for the upcoming presidential election as a way of publicly endorsing him. Conservatives in Iran have alleged that by doing so, Ahmadinejad is trying to maintain his influence within the Iranian government.
The story of Muhammad Al-Dura, the 12-year-old Palestinian boy who was falsely claimed to have been killed by IDF troops, has received further attention. Last week, we reported that the boy, whose death became a symbol of the Palestinian struggle against Israel, is likely alive and living in Gaza. This week, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was presented with a report from a government committee of inquiry which states that the footage of Al-Dura and his father crouching to avoid IDF gunfire was falsified. In September of 2000, France 2 News reported on the senseless death of this child and created international outrage at the savagery of the Israeli army. The news channel has since been accused of staging the video and falsifying the story. In 2007, a French court demanded the entire unedited footage, which revealed that Al-Dura was alive and uninjured at the end of the video. Israel's investigation into the incident has further vindicated the IDF. In response to the report, Netanyahu said, "Focusing on this incident is important because the original report slandered Israel and serves as an example of the delegitimization Israel constantly faces." He said the only way to fight lies is with the truth.
Israel's Home Front Command released a report last week stating that while the threat level of a chemical attack against the nation is medium to low, regional instability has now increased that possibility. According to the document, the rise of such a strike is due to the volatile situation in neighboring Syria, with the primary concern on Syria's arsenal of chemical and biological weapons. Loss of control by the Assad regime could lead to the acquisition of these toxic agents by a variety of terrorist groups already active in the region, raising the likelihood that the realization of an unconventional terrorism scenario.
The Israeli Water Authority will begin discharging 1,000 cubic meters of water per hour from the Sea of Galilee into the Jordan River in an attempt to replenish the river's water supply and repair its fragile ecosystem. The level of the Jordan has dropped dangerously low, resulting in stagnant and polluted water. Diverting water is just the first step in rehabilitating the endangered river. The state is building a treatment facility on the Jordan shore to conserve water and to preserve the quality of the water in the river. Ramon Ben Ari, CEO of the Israeli Drainage Authority, said the ultimate purpose of this project is to restore historically valuable ecological habitats and agricultural spaces while leveraging peace and cooperation along the way.
A Syrian family living in a Jordanian refugee camp has been smuggled into Israel so that doctors can perform open-heart surgery on their 4-year-old little daughter. The Israeli government, acting in conjunction with the Save a Child's Heart organization, is protecting the identity of the family members so that they will not be accused of being collaborators when they eventually return to their country. The child has been suffering from a heart condition since infancy, but the proper treatment was not available to her. After the Syrian civil war broke out, the family fled to Jordan, where a humanitarian group referred them to Save a Child's Heart and put them in touch with Israeli officials. The organization uses volunteer doctors and raises funds to perform life-saving cardiac operations on children in developing countries. They have now treated more than 3,000 children from 45 nations.
2 religious Israeli schoolgirls have shocked the international community by winning the World Kickboxing Championship in Thailand. Muay Thai is a martial art that requires enormous discipline and strength. Neely Block and Sarah Avrahami have been training in Muay Thai 5 times a week for several years in order to compete at the international championship. Their proud coach, Eddie Yusupov, said, "They are among the best on our team. They have no problem fighting boys in the arena. The main thing is the strength of the strike."
That concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host Josh Reinstein, and we're here on an extremely sunny day in Jerusalem on our rooftop studio. My guest today is Elliot Goldstein, the Executive Director of International Relations for the Joint Distribution Committee. Elliot, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Elliot, please tell our viewers about what is the JDC.
So thank you. JDC is a global humanitarian organization that seeks to reach out and help Jews and Jewish communities and those vulnerable populations around the world. We provide any type of assistance from food relief, medicines, home care, disaster relief in situations of natural or man-made disasters, be it an earthquake in Haiti or a tsunami in Asia. And basically we're a goal of American Jewry reaching out to help Jews and others around the world and do our bit to repair the world.
A lot of the work that you do is here in Israel. What are some of the projects you're working on?
In Israel, it's one of our largest operations, and here we work primarily with vulnerable populations, with elderly Holocaust survivors, with children at risk of abuse or neglect, with immigrant populations, and a lot to get people into the workforce so they have an equal opportunity in Israel. Projects range from major initiatives to employ Arab Israeli women or ultra-Orthodox Israelis who have no access to the workforce, to helping Ethiopian Israeli preschoolers to gain access to the skills they need to succeed in school so they have a chance at success in the Israeli marketplace.
You know, on top of your work in Israel, you do a lot of disaster relief around the world. Why do you think as a Jewish organization it's so important to get involved in some of these situations like in Haiti or in Asia?
So as an American Jewish organization, we feel a responsibility that Jews should do its part to what we call tikkun olam in our tradition, to repair the world. And therefore, the American Jewish community and the JDC want to reach out and provide assistance. In many cases, we have our own organizational expertise that we've gained over time in various disasters or situations or war zones through over 100 years of JDC operation. In some cases, it's to provide direct assistance. In other places, it's to help get Israel into a country or community where Israel has not been welcomed before. And being an American organization, we have special access through the local Jewish community or other diplomatic connections that allow us to get in and then bring in Israel with us.
You know, you've had a lot of cooperation in America also with Christian organizations and Christian leaders. Why do you think it's important that Christians get involved with the work that you're doing?
JDC believes that our work is to help those who need it the most, wherever they are, whoever they are. We're non-political, we're non-denominational, and therefore any type of partnership we can have with others to provide assistance to those who need it the most, be it the poorest people in the world, the most at risk, the most neglected, or those who have no home or no food. We believe any type of partnership like that would be there. And with the Christian communities, there's a covenantal relationship there from our traditions and our religious views about helping others, about doing good deeds and acts of loving kindness that we both share in our traditions.
Do you have a lot of cooperation with Israeli organizations like the Jewish Agency and Keren Hayesod?
We have cooperation with hundreds and hundreds of Israeli organizations. Our largest partner in Israel is actually the government of Israel, and they're our main local partner, but we work with municipalities, local nonprofits. There are special occasions where we partner with the Jewish Agency in special programs for populations of interest, and we certainly collaborate with them around the world in the countries we both operate in.
How does the JDC work with the government of Israel? Is it a partnership at the ministerial level or at the local level?
Both. JDC sees that any initiative we do in Israel, we want to be the startup funder with the seed capital and the R&D expertise, and over time we want to make the Israeli government and Israeli society responsible for solving its own social problems. So any initiative JDC launches, we start with the government on board around the same table and help to bring them in at the beginning phase, and over time they invest more, they do it. So we work with local ministries, Ministry of Education, Health, Welfare, the Finance Ministry, and over time JDC phases out its involvement and the government takes over, replicates it on a national basis, and sustains the funding over time.
One of the major issues that have been spoken about in the media here is the plight of Holocaust survivors. What are you doing to help ease the financial burden that they suffer here in Israel?
So JDC's reach to Holocaust survivors, in fact, is global, and we are the largest organization providing direct assistance to Holocaust survivors around the world through support of our funders around the globe. In Israel, we're providing community-based services. So a Holocaust survivor who has no family or no support would be part of a JDC supportive community where we bring the services to them. They have an emergency panic button. If they fall or have a problem, they press it 24 hours a day and someone will help them in Russian, in Hebrew, in Yiddish, in any language they need. We provide additional medical assistance, dental care for survivors who can't afford dental care that's not covered by insurance. We have a unique program called Cafe Europa, which allows survivors to come tell their stories and act out their experiences or tell some of the sort of therapeutic approach to engaging survivors in a social environment. We have day centers. We have over 200 day centers in Israel that provide services to elderly and survivors, a hot meal, programming, activities, rehabilitation, hairdressing, whatever you might want that they're not getting in a community. So it's a vast range of services in partnership with local organizations and survivor groups.
There are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
So thanks for the opportunity, Josh, to be here. We believe at JDC that there's so many people who need our assistance, and a collaboration to provide that support wherever it may be is key. And our agenda at JDC is only those people who need our help the most. So we're looking for partners and friends and those to be in coalition with us to reach out and provide that support to those in need throughout the world. Today we're in more than 70 countries around the world, and that list grows or shrinks as we're able to address those problems. So we're looking for collaboration and partners, the Jewish community and Jewish leadership along with Christians and Christian leadership around the world to make real social change and have a real impact.
Thank you, Elliot, for being on the show. Thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
Up next, shining light from Israel.
שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Amen.
54 new Olim from the Bnei Menashe tribe arrived in the land of Israel from India in a special flight arranged by the Shavei Yisrael organization. The new Olim were warmly welcomed by their relatives who now live in Israel.
We have now brought 274 members of the community here to Israel over the past month. There are still another 7,000 Bnei Menashe in India who are waiting to come, and with God's help, they too will make Aliyah in the coming years. Our goal is to bring all of the Bnei Menashe here to Israel.
Yeah, I don't have the words to express. I was so excited. We have been waiting for a long of years. So our dreams came true. We just can't believe it. We are here standing in Eretz Israel.
I'm so excited being home after 2,700 years back. I'm so happy. This is my sister, and we didn't meet 12 years, and now we meet.
I feel very happy that Hashem sent me here home safe and sound with my baby.
מתפללים את אותו סידור שאנחנו מתפללים ועושים את אותו הנחת תפילין שאנחנו מניחים.
זה לא להאמין, כאילו
זה אותו ספר
ופתאום איזה מישהו שהוא
יהודי בכל קצה של העולם, אותו דבר, אותו תפילין. נשארו אלפי שנים ושמרו על המורשת הזאת.
תינוקות והם מחייכים והם בוכים, ממש חיבקנו
במטוס.
The project of bringing the Bnei Menashe to Israel was initiated by Shavei Yisrael.
We have been struggling for the past 5 years to resume the Bnei Menashe Aliyah, and now it is happening. These wonderful people were finally able to fulfill their dream and to come home to the land of Israel.
They knocked on the doors of the ministry and on the Indian authority doors, and thanks to that, the people arrived here. I am the absorption minister of the State of Israel, and I'm very happy to receive them here. Happiness, what can I tell you? I would like to hope that the part that stayed there will shortly make Aliyah. We will do all we can to receive them here with a lot of warmth, with a lot of sympathy and goodwill.
They will undergo various bureaucratic processes, receive their Israeli citizenship and new immigrant status, and then they will move to communities such as Akko and Migdal HaEmek in Israel's north, and they will begin their new lives here in the Jewish state.
Much of the funding for the Bnei Menashe Aliyah came from Jewish and Christian philanthropists and organizations. The ICEJ in Jerusalem covered a large part of the cost of the immigrants' flights. Bridges for Peace contributed towards their absorption, and Christians in Singapore and the Far East also assisted greatly with the Aliyah.
The Christian Embassy is very thrilled to be sponsoring the flights, not only today, but more in the coming months of these Bnei Menashe. They've been gone for 2,700 years here from the land, but the Hebrew prophets said they would return one day.
We got involved with Bnei Israel because we felt it was the fulfillment of a dream of people after 2,000 years of being separated from the Jewish people, that they can return to Eretz Israel.
I feel so excited, overwhelmed, and I've totally lost for words. I don't know what to say anymore. And we have been always dreaming to, make Aliyah in Israel and to be a part of Israel.
The first thing I would like to do in Israel is that I'll be going for Army Academy, for Army, and after that I will see for the things that I can do for my livelihood.
ושבו בנים ושבו בנים ושבו בנים לגבולם ושבו בנים בנים לגבולם ושבו בנים ושבו בנים ושבו בנים לגבולם.
Please stay tuned for the ICEJ report from the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem.
Told me I was talking in my sleep.
Well,
ICEJ, which is the International Christian Embassy. It's good. Right.
He's like,
it's very good.
Shut up and think. Just knock it off. I think we're awesome.
Arise, boy. You better arise.
At the ICJ, in Arise, our motivation has been always to encourage the new generation, the young generation, to live their lives fully devoted for God, to teach them about the Bible, to show them how to live a truthful life in God, and then to encourage them to share it. Now we're walking in a very special place, which is the Mount of Beatitudes. Jesus held one of the most powerful sermons ever on this place where we're walking right now. He actually said on how to live a life fully devoted to Him and to God. This was the igniter. It was the sparkle that set the fire for the church coming in the future to actually conquer the world and reach the people all over the place. I'm going to read you now a small piece of scripture from Matthew 5, verse 13. You are the salt on the earth. And verse 14 says, you are the light of the world. I think that is what we're called to be, the salt. We're the salt that through us something can grow. Without salt, nothing grows. And that we have to be the light. We have to set our standards so high that we're at the top so everyone can see us. So we're the light illuminating everyone else. I think that's where God has called us, the young generation, to be a light high up and to be a salt, then to make people grow and to make people roll towards God.
We'd like to invite you to this year's edition of the Arise Summit Tour, which will take place from the 1st to the 11th of July. And coming to Israel is a very unique experience which will change your life forever. And right behind me you can see the area where Jesus lived. This is the home of Jesus. And in this area, he changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. And if you come to the Arise Summit Tour, you can do the same thing in your life. So don't hesitate. Sign up for this year's Summit Tour, which will take place from the 1st to the 11th of July.
This is the shoreline where Jesus was walking when he came to gather his disciples that would change the history of humankind, the history of you and me who are watching this show right now. Because of these disciples, we are part of a global church. They went all over the world to preach the gospel. Jesus came to these shores to give them a calling, to leave their work, to leave the things that they were doing, to get a real calling from God. Maybe God is calling you to come to the Arise Summit Tour, to get reignited, to get connected again with your Creator, and to be a part of an international environment where you see people from all over the world and friends that will last forever. Come from the 1st to the 11th of July to change your life and to get connected with your Creator. See you in the beginning of July and get the swagger of Arise.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us again next week for all your Israel updates.